Let's dive into one of the most chilling and just plain baffling maritime mysteries of all time. We're talking about a ghost ship, a crew frozen in terror, and a final cryptic message that still haunts people to this day.
This is it. This is the last thing anyone ever heard from the Dutch freighter, the SS Ourang Medan. Just 2 words, sent out in a jumble of Morse code right before the ship and every single soul on board went completely silent.
Okay, so picture this. It's February 1948, out in the Strait of Malacca, a super busy shipping lane. The crew of an American ship, the Silver Star, are having a pretty normal day at sea. But that peace is about to be shattered by a desperate distress call that suddenly crackles to life over their radio.
So hours later, they find it, the Ourang Medan, and it's just floating there. It looks perfectly fine, no damage, it's not sinking, but something is seriously wrong. There's no smoke coming from its stack, and a creepy, unnatural silence hangs over the whole vessel. The captain of the Silver Star gets on the loudspeaker, they're blasting the ship's horn, trying to get any kind of response. And what do they get back? Nothing. Just the sound of the waves. It's a true ghost ship. So with no other choice, he puts together a boarding party to go over and see what in the world is going on. The second the rescue team steps onto the deck of the Ourang Medan, 2 things hit them immediately. First, an intense, bitter cold, which makes no sense in the tropical heat. And second, a sight so horrifying it would be burned into their memories forever. The entire ship was a floating tomb. Bodies were everywhere, on the bridge, in the chart room, strewn across the deck. The whole crew of the Ourang Medan was gone. And the scene was just pure nightmare fuel. I mean, every single person, even the ship's dog, was dead. Their bodies were stiff, contorted, but the worst part? Their faces. They were frozen in these masks of pure terror, eyes bulging, mouths wide open. A lot of them had their arms reaching out as if they were trying to fight off something nobody could see. And here's the kicker. There wasn't a single wound or sign of a struggle on any of them. Down in the radio room, they found the man who'd sent the SOS. He was slumped dead over his desk, his fingers still resting right on the telegraph key, the very instrument he used to send out that last desperate plea for help. So what on earth happened here? What could possibly kill an entire crew that fast, leave no marks, but leave their faces twisted in absolute primal fear? To even start to figure this out, we've got to go back to that frantic message that brought the Silver Star here in the first place, the last words ever heard from the Ourang Medan. Now, they were using Morse code, the system of dots and dashes. Before we had satellites, this stuff was incredibly reliable. Voice radios could get staticky, but Morse code. It could cut through almost anything over thousands of miles. It was basically the perfect way to scream for help from the middle of nowhere. So the first message starts as a pretty standard SOS, asking for a doctor. But then, the panic just explodes. The next message is, probably second officer is dead. Other crew members also dead. Suddenly, they're not asking for a doctor anymore. They're begging for a warship. After sending their location, the code gets all jumbled and weak, and then those final, chilling words. I die. Then nothing. All right, so back on the ghost ship, the rescue team is staring at this horror show, and they make a call. They have to get this ship to a port so someone can investigate. But the Ourang Medan, it seems, had one last violent secret up its sleeve. The plan made perfect sense. Hook up some tow lines, drag the Ourang Medan to the closest port, and let the experts figure it out. The bodies couldn't talk, but maybe the ship could give them some answers. They never got the chance. Just as they were getting the tow line secure, smoke starts billowing out of one of the cargo holds. A few moments later, fire erupts, followed by a huge explosion that literally rips the ship in half. The rescue team had to scramble to get away, just in time to watch the Ourang Medan and all its terrifying secrets sink beneath the waves for good. So with the ship gone, the only thing left was the story. And for years, a lot of people just wrote it off as a tall tale. A spooky ghost story sailors would tell. The biggest question of all was the SS Ourang Medan even a real ship? Well, on the one hand, skeptics have a good point. The ship's name doesn't show up in any official logs, like the famous Lloyd shipping register. But on the other hand, you have to remember, this was right after World War II. Global shipping was a mess. There was a huge black market, and the seas were crawling with unregistered ships smuggling all kinds of sketchy cargo. But the thing that really turned this from legend to a potential reality didn't come out until 2003. A declassified CIA document from 1958 was released, and it detailed the entire incident. This was huge. It proved that, at the very least, U.S. intelligence agencies knew about the event and were taking it very seriously. This was way more than just a myth.
Okay, so if this really happened, what in the world killed that crew? Over the years, three main theories have surfaced, each one trying to explain the unexplainable.
First up, you've got the hazardous cargo theory. The idea is the ship was smuggling unstable chemicals from the war, like nitroglycerin and potassium cyanide. If seawater leaked into the cargo hold, it could have mixed with the cyanide to create a lethal poison gas, which explains the quick, injury-free deaths. The unstable nitroglycerin, of course, would explain the massive explosion. Then there's the much darker Unit 73-1 theory, that the ship was secretly moving nerve agents developed by the infamous Japanese program known for its horrific human experiments. This could explain the secrecy, the gruesome deaths, and even a potential cover-up. And finally, you have the supernatural theory, that some paranormal entity attacked the ship, which, frankly, might be the only way to explain the absolute bone-deep terror frozen on the crew's faces.
Now, while the other theories are definitely fascinating, most investigators tend to lean towards the hazardous cargo explanation. It just seems the most plausible. In the chaos after the war, smuggling poorly secured chemicals was a dangerous but profitable game. A simple leak could logically explain both the silent deaths and the ship's fiery end.
But in the end, the Ourang Medan is still one of the ocean's greatest unsolved cases. The only witness is the ship itself, and it's lying at the bottom of the sea, taking its secrets with it. It's just a chilling reminder that no matter how much we think we know, the sea will always keep some of its darkest mysteries. So what do you think really happened?